Well, hey, Motor Warriors. Today is June 1st. Now, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook lately, stuff popping up that really kind of makes me mad. And that's people making a big deal and trying to say that it's Pride Month. And it's a bunch of mentally ill people supporting mentally ill people. That's my view on it. I think that transgender and homosexuality and not knowing what your gender identity is or whatever, I think all that stuff is a mental illness. I really do. You know, it's kind of annoying that they're trying to shove it down our throats. And I posted a thing that one of my sons sent me, the one that got a job promotion and transfer up to northern Wisconsin, and it was, even the Green Bay Packers are jumping in on that pride stuff, and that makes me mad. As a lifelong Packer fan, man, I'm outraged. I have an aunt and uncle, well, they're gone now, but I still have cousins up there, but they moved up there before I was even born. So I've been up into that area a lot. I have, you know, kind of like a connection sort of to Wisconsin. And I've always liked that state when I go up and visit. I lived in Milwaukee for 5 years, a number of years ago. And, you know, but I've always been a Packer fan all my life. And back in East Tennessee, you're more likely to see Packer fans than you are a Titan fan. Because, well, I did a video about why I'm not a Titan fan. I'll try and put that up in the corner here. But the whole thing is that they're wanting to have a Pride Month. It's not enough to have like a day of Pride or a week of Pride. They want the whole month of June to be Pride Month. And I don't know about all y'all, but I'm not going to celebrate one day for mental illness. I'm not going to celebrate one day for pride, for people that are really in need of therapy. But what I do want to celebrate is our veterans. And I know that my dad and my two of my older brothers, I almost served, but one time a friend of mine talked me out of it. Another time my mom kind of talked me out of it because the Vietnam War had just come to an end when I turned 18, and nobody was certain what might happen and whatever. And it's a long story, but I look back and wish I would have now, but that's beside the point. But a lot of my friends, you know, a lot of people that I ride with, like Jason, you know, Mr. McStash, and my buddy Ken from Harley Moonrider. There's a bunch of the guys that I ride with that are veterans. And I would rather spend a month honoring them and their willingness to serve our nation than to spend a month in pride for people who shouldn't be proud, but instead should be seeking mental health therapy. But anyway, I just want to say happy Veterans Pride Month. But that's about all I had to say today. YouTube will probably consider it hate speech and block it, you know, because they don't like people to actually have free speech unless it's speech they want to hear. But I said my point, and if my throat sounds kind of dry and scratchy like it does to me as I'm talking, it's because it's been in the 80s and I've been out riding quite a bit today. I went out for a really long ride with Glow Chicks today, my favorite riding buddy, and now I'm riding off by myself, just out in the country here, and it kind of dries up your throat when you're wearing a full face helmet and it's hot out like that. I need to go up here to somewhere and get something to drink. Maybe I'll just go up here to Whataburger and get something to eat there or something, get a drink. But anyway, no happy Pride Month as far as mentally ill people, supporting mentally ill people. My Pride Month version is for the veterans. And all this money that's going to spend on these people that really need therapy. I'd rather see all that money go to help our veterans. We have way too many veterans that are homeless, and they're in need of mental health help because of some of the things they've had to deal with in their life, you know, in the military. I mean, I had a student that was in was it, I forget if it was the Gulf War or the Iraq War, I forget how they were labeled, but he had well, I don't want to get too much into it, but he had seen some pretty intense stuff and lived through some pretty intense stuff. So hats off to him and to people that served, like, you know, in that situation. I can't imagine how tough it would be. But anyway, Motor Warriors, thanks for watching. If you watch this whole thing, I really appreciate y'all. And if you're not subscribed, I know a lot of you watch, but you're not subscribed. What's holding you back? Why not subscribe? I'd appreciate that. But remember to live your life with the heart of a Viking warrior. Bye for now. Move over, mama. Dad is coming home. Good cemetery things there, man. Sad you see these old cemetery plots around here. They're just like covered in weeds and whatever. It's kind of sad. Somebody way back when spent a lot of money to put up a nice headstone, and then a couple generations later nobody cares. It's like all grown over with weeds, and they spent all that money on nothing. When I put aside this mortal shell, I don't really care what happens to me. They could feed me to the bears or whatever. I don't care. I won't be here, you know. I'll be swimming in the river of life and dancing around and hollering at the throne room of God, worshiping my Lord and Savior. So none of those things will matter. But I know I heard of somebody that somebody I know, what they did is they the friend that, you know, passed away was not I didn't know that person, but I knew the person who was that person's friend. But what had happened is that when the person died, their will stuff was to be cremated and have them take their remains, and I didn't realize there was a sheriff there. I'm not even sure what the speed limit was, but that's a little town. I hope I wasn't going way too fast. If all of a sudden I see lights coming up behind me, I know I was. But they want this girl wanted to be cremated and then have her ashes spread between her friends, including the one that was also my friend. And what that one did is that she would take a little necklace that you can get to put ashes in or whatever, and when she'd go somewhere, she'd wear that necklace with ashes in it from her friend, and then when she'd get someplace that she thought the friend would really like, she would dump out the ashes and say a little prayer, talk to her or whatever, and say, I miss you, I love you, you know, that kind of thing. And I thought, man, that's kind of cool, you know. So if somebody did that with me, that'd be fine by me. But it really won't matter, because like I said, this is just an earthly shell. When we leave this body, that's where things, you know, well, for a Christian, they're much better. I don't know how I got sidetracked on that, but anyway, thanks for watching, Motor Warriors. And remember to live your life with the heart of a Viking warrior. And even Viking warriors get thirsty, so I'm going back towards town because I need something to drink because my mouth is dry. So y'all.